I thought this was impossible, and I talk differently, I act differently, I feel completely different, and I'm unrecognizable compared to what I used to look like and be like. In my life, I've seen that most people get stuck in their life or in situations and cannot move forward in life or in the areas they want to because they are missing certain key beliefs that I don't see are being talked about today. And the bridge between where someone is and where they want to go is always found in these key missing beliefs. And you know this because if you believe that you cannot do something, then you'll never even try. Like if you believe that the work it's going to take is going to be more painful than the pleasure of the reward that you'll get, then you'll never even consider that as an option. Like if you went to the gym for the first time and it was awful for you, it's awkward, it's painful, it's left you sore for days, and you think and you lack the belief that it'll be worth it and the results will pay off for you one day, you're just going to stop. You're not going to go back into the gym the next day. If you're listening to this, then I know you might be that rare person that's looking for that extra edge, that's searching for something more, that's why you're here. And I hope you can at the least use this to transform yourself in some certain way, or maybe a large way like I have with my life and like so many others that I've been able to meet over the years. And you and I both know that we are all following these invisible beliefs in our mind that have been programmed in since birth, right? Childhood, parenting, the town that you grew up in, the people that you've been around, right? Example, if Warren Buffett was your dad and in another life, your dad was a gang-banging, cartel, drug-dealing convict, you would have completely different lives. Like you would end up a completely different person, even if both of those dads had the exact same DNA. And I've found that the only way out is through other people outside of the circle that you've been in for a long time. You have to pull someone else into your life from the outside and be able to see and feel, understand, and believe their rules that they live by in order to bring yourself out of the circle, out of the box that you're currently in. And all of the people that know me now, they know me for the radical transformation that I've had in my life, physically, mentally, emotionally. Like I've become a completely different person over the last 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 12 years. And I have learned so much. But I haven't always been like this or talked like this or even looked like this, right? See, my first set of beliefs came from growing up with a dad who was a car mechanic. My mom was a stay-at-home mom and homeschooled us. And the groups and the church that we belonged to were generally poor and simple, and life was very limited in scope and in nature. It was very enclosed, very encapsulated in this kind of, box that was suffocating in a sense and very linear. People know me now for being extraordinarily confident and vibrant and charismatic and magnetic and all these things that people describe me as. But when I was young, that was not me. So I was homeschooled by my mom up until 8th grade, where I moved into public school. And when I was in school, that was a shocking transition for me. I mean, I was a very, very shy, extremely small, super distracted, like extraordinarily anxious kid. Like I could not pay attention to teachers, friends, like students. I couldn't hold conversations with people. Like I could barely look anyone in the eye for more than a few moments when someone talked to me. And I always kept my head and shoulders down when I walked around. Like I remember every day I looked at my feet. I looked at the ground as I walked. I slumped over and I felt so nervous and terrified, honestly, just walking in front of the classroom each day to take my seat, every day for 5 years from 8th grade to graduation. And me being in this kind of state, this disassociated, blurry, super awkward and distracted state, I remember I couldn't pay attention to anything. My physics teacher told me in front of the class that I would amount to nothing. It's like when people saw me, like I had a very negative reputation. I was an outcast. I was a drifter. I didn't know who I was. Like people did, like by the end of senior year, people thought I was doomed. And when I graduated, barely, I worked in 12 different jobs over the next few years, losing them left and right. And I was in and out of jail, and nothing serious, just underage drinking, getting too crazy, right? Like I was really lost, completely lost. And I ended up 5 years after I graduated. I had no driver's license, no car, no job, no money for the longest time. I'd stretched out student loans. I had failed out of so many college courses, and I ended up living in a $400 a month, 2-bedroom trap house condo kind of thing. I mean, we were in like drug town is what it felt like. And there was roaches in the corners of this, apartment everywhere. And everything was almost always a mess. Like we had rotten food in the cabinets and in the kitchen, the fridge. And I had completely lost a vision for what life could be. All I was worried about was the next hour and that night. But everything changed for me when I met a young guy one night. He came into our place for a little pregame, and he was dressed to the nines. And at that moment, I was heavy on social media. I was sucked into virtual validation, sitting there on a couch every day, all day, just looking for something, looking to feel something different. And this man walked in, 32 years old, wearing Gucci, Louis, dressed so well, beautiful car, a lot of friends he brought in, and really confident, spoke so clearly. He knew what he thought. He could say what he thought, and people really listened to him. And that was the first time someone walked in my house and I went silent. Like I had never witnessed that before. I had been lost in this little college town in a terrible spot of the town for so long. And I never saw a model for what life could be like. This guy had 3 businesses at the same time, a bar, a nightclub, and a moving company. And he traveled all over the world almost every other week, at least once a month for fun. Like I actually went to Japan with him. We went to Egypt. We went to Europe later that year, right? But he did not come from that. He was raised in a mobile home in small town Valdosta, Georgia, and he became somebody on his own. And just recently, he actually bought his own mom the largest house you've ever seen in North Carolina. It's astounding to see what people can become, and what he just showed me is that he just lived by very, very different beliefs than I had at that time. And I couldn't get him out of my head. Like I felt so stuck and so trapped, and I felt like I had no way out. So I messaged him on Facebook months later just to learn from him. And I asked him what he did, how he got to where he's at, who helped him. And I realized that he had done so much on his own, just through pure willpower and motivation and energy and a bunch of crazy beliefs that he could just do it. So after that, I spent a lot of time with him and watched him and how he behaved after that. And that was just one part of many catalysts to get me here. Because where I am now is it's been 7 years since that time, but I have my own business, many employees. We did $3.5 million in revenue last year. I have no debt, and I, just like him, I've traveled the world around many times, been in many beautiful places. I mean, God, flown around, sailed boats all over the Bahamas, raced Lamborghinis in Las Vegas. Like I've done so many things. I've seen so many beautiful shows and knocked off so many things off my bucket list. And now I have so much extraordinary freedom and such a privilege to be where I'm at. It's honestly unreal to think about it, because I thought this was impossible. you know, and I talk differently, I act differently, I feel completely different, and I'm unrecognizable compared to what I used to look like and be like. And I think so clearly now. Like I used to just live in this funk, this disassociated, completely fogged, lonely, disconnected blur everywhere I was. I was always just looking for something to just feel good in the moment. But now, when I walk in a room, people implicitly and immediately respect me and my presence and my energy. And when I talk, I'm trusted. And I can't tell you how it used to feel. I was always on the outside of the group. And when I would say something, no one would care. Like it didn't matter. What I said held no weight because I had no weight to my being. You know, like I said earlier, when I used to walk in the rooms in high school, college too, I was so nervous. I was anxious. All people were looking at me. No one could rely on me for anything. And people used to talk negatively about me everywhere. I was known as a crazy, reckless, stupid child. Like my teachers were worried, parents, professors, people, bosses, friends. You know, every 12 jobs I worked at, I was fired. I didn't quit a single job, but now I'm the one that gets the call when someone needs help, advice, money, or wants to change their life around. And I personally have seen so many people completely transform their lives, bodies, minds. I mean, my brother, friends, employees. I've seen some of the most suicidal and resentful individuals end up happy and hardworking and effective and clean and organized and put together and in successful and loving relationships with great friends, you know, like I've seen people really turn around. So I've got here, and so many other people I know has got here by following simple rules that we absorbed from other successful people that we got the privilege to meet. Just knowing them and choosing to act on them in each moment. Act on the beliefs that we absorbed in each moment that we could. And it's what got us here, and it's what got me here. I have 11 beliefs for changing where you're at. And the first one is the one I really started with, man. If you have a good vision for your life and you make a plan, and I mean any plan, and you work that plan step by step, just a little bit each day or even every other day, catching your mistakes as you go, adapting as you go, you will always get to a better place than where you're at now. No matter where you end up, no matter what pain you feel, you will always end up in a better spot than where you are now if you just decide to go somewhere good. The second belief is that everything everyone knows and does, they learned. And if you can learn something, if you can learn anything, then you can learn it too. And this applies to way more than you think. Emotions, confidence, clarity, focus, determination, awareness. Like people have been practicing things since they've been born because they got to model their parents, and they were born on a certain scale of development in every domain. So we all start on different starting lines, but you can always practice. And if you intentionally practice something, if you try to become more courageous, if you try to start speaking up for yourself, if you start trying to accept and feel and understand your emotions so you can become more connected to yourself, you get better. And you can master things that you never could have imagined you've mastered before. Number 3 is everybody does learn different things at different speeds because we're all born different, but that never means that you can't learn it too. Humans are built to adapt. Our brains are neuroplastic, and we can always get better. They're always molding and shifting. Okay? They're always molding and shifting and becoming and conforming and adapting to the environment that you're putting it in and the thoughts that you put into it. Number 4 is the first time you do something is the worst that you're going to be at it, generally speaking, But just know if you try something new and you're terrible at it, it's your first time. Like imagine if you were a kid and you were learning to walk and you fell and you just decided to never walk again because it hurt too bad. You're just in a wheelchair forever. That'd be insane. So remember. Number 5 is your excuses and your story and your limitations, your trauma, your blocks, your society's limitations on you are valid and may be true, but is focusing on them going to give you the results that you want? If not, then why allow them to hold you back? If you're over the age of 18, your parents aren't there for you anymore. You are your parent now. Whatever your dad and your mom did to you is now your responsibility to take on. It's now on you to transform that, to learn from that, to accept that and understand it and bring it into you, integrate it into your psyche as wisdom and use it. Pain is to be used. It's not there to just use you. Number 6 is what you believe about yourself and how you talk to yourself is what will create your life and how you feel. I ignored the way I treated myself internally for a long time. I worked, I got effective at working, but I was working and driving myself through incessant self-criticism and self-hatred. The moment I started to connect to myself and talk to myself, even out loud, in a much more positive light, as a coach would, as a good parent would, as a good friend would, things have really started to turn around. And I mean really. You can take this from a lot of successful people that shouldn't even be successful, it seems, from modern standards. Sean Combs, P. Diddy, one of the most successful African Americans of all time, and Gucci Mane, also another one, right? Born in not the best situations, awful situations, have become one of the strongest and most dedicated people of their crafts. They talk to themselves in the mirror every day. How you talk to yourself will determine how your life's going to end up. So watch it, be conscious, be aware, and treat yourself like you would if you were your own best friend and your best parent and your best coach. Number 7 is, do you want to be comfortable or do you want the progress? Because you can't have both. You can balance it. But trust me, if you're looking for a comfortable life, if that exists in your vocabulary, you're going to have a very limited life. You'll never be able to fully even get close to unlocking the best path and destiny for you. Your true life adventure will be impossible to unfold in front of you. And number 8 is do what works. This sounds so simple because it is. And I have been very narcissistic and delusional to think that I can just force my way ahead, full steam ahead, and not seek help. And I mean effective help, because to do what works, you need to model someone else that is doing what works. And you can see what works by looking at their life and understanding where they came from, how they got to where they are. You have to contextualize a mentor, right? What works for somebody else 40 years ago, if he inherited a business from his dad, might not work for you in 2022, 2023, right? But do what works and learn what works by picking up the phone, by finding a book, by finding a podcast, and learning from someone that has what you want. If someone's really happy and you can feel it, ask them what makes them happy. What's different about them that makes them wake up like that? And you'll be very surprised how different other people's minds work than yours. And you can grab these ideas that they have, adopt them, and change yourself over time, just like they are. Number 9 is each problem you face is an opportunity to change what you're doing and how you do it so you do it better next time. Every time you're faced with a problem, it's going to either serve as a roadblock to cut you off from your best future that you could have, or it's an opportunity to learn something about yourself and the world in order to move forward with strength and courage and new wisdom to be able to plot out a more effective course next time. Number 10 is no one is coming to save you, help you, or come get you out of the house. Like it's all you. And knowing that is so incredible because once you realize that you are in control. You are the captain of your own ship, the director of your own story, the painter of your own masterpiece, right? And you can change it, and it's just you. And when you know that and really can feel that and take that in you and understand that you're a human being and your whole lineage, your whole lifespan, your bloodline since the beginning of time has got here for you. You are the most upgraded form of a human of your entire DNA's line since the beginning of the first cell that you came from in the beginning of the world. And it's all you now. And every one of your ancestors is looking down on you, believing in you that you can do it because they did too. And you're going to do it better because you're the newest version in the newest part of history. And number 11 is just start. Just start, man. Like everyone got to where they're at just by taking steps one by one. No one built a beautiful life in just a week, a month, even a year, even 2 years. Like it takes a long time to really bring yourself from, say, a really awful place to a beautiful place. But it's there, man, and your life, it's right there. 3 years passes so fast, you have no idea. But just going on that journey is so much better than staying where you're at, because why not? You're sitting here suffering away on the couch at the job you don't like, whatever is happening that you don't like, no matter what. So if you just take the reins, grab the wheel, and go for it, your life can really turn into something that you would have never imagined before. And look, if you want to listen to more of this and other ideas that have helped me and many I know, follow, subscribe, like, whatever, to review this video or this podcast, wherever you might be. I'll be bringing way more every week. This is the second one I've done. Follow me at Kyle X Patrick on every social channel out there, except Pinterest, I think, and 4chan. And above all, take your life on an adventure and treat it like that, man, and have faith in yourself to go for it. You have no idea what's waiting for you on the other side.